It's Friday, the second day of December. Welcome to the National Outlook on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. I'm GHK Lal. Flood relief. Oh, we're having the rains here. And we're not talking about relief from the rains. That's a long way off. It's only early December, the very first 2 days. And we've got 2, maybe more months to go. We're talking about flood relief monies. And from the Auditor General report comes this finding that hundreds of millions of dollars are unaccounted for in the 2021 flood relief exercise program that was under the sole control of this PPP government. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in the least. Because when you're talking about money and when you're talking about cash money, we're going to have trouble in this country. I don't care if it's the PPP government. I don't care if it's the PNC government. We are going to have that. Cash is more than temptation. Cash is trouble. Cash is a crime waiting to happen. And that's what the Auditor General found out when he said, we've got $400+ million of flood relief money unaccounted for. The Prime Minister, the Honourable Mark Phillips, said, well, it was a urgent time. It was a rough time. So there were some, what he called, the report coming out of there, the response was that lapses. I don't think it's the Prime Minister himself who said, but the Office of the Prime Minister, which oversaw the flood relief program. There were some lapses. Now, lapses can cover a whole lot of territory. It could mean deliberate lapses. People didn't fill out records. It could mean lapses to conceal wrongdoing. It could mean procedural lapses so that the truth never comes out. It could mean lapses where people conveniently forget. And as such, there's no trail to follow. There's no money to count. There are no persons who are stepping forward to take responsibility and to say, we could have done this better. We didn't follow the rules. We didn't follow the guidelines, and as such, we end up with this kind of money unaccounted for. But you're going to tell me $400+ million. I forget. I think it was 400. It was hundreds of millions. Excuse me. And we call that lapses? That's a lot of lapses to swallow. That's a huge piece of roti or bread to chew upon. I mean, I'm choking. You're talking about $10 million, $50 million, maybe $100 million. And I can nod my head and say, all right, I think that this is pardonable. It's excusable. But when we're talking several $100 million, we've gone into a deep sort of darkness there. That with that kind of money, skullduggery is the norm. We have too much room there and too much money sloshing around, floating around, for any good reason to be attached to it. Again, I don't care if the PNC government was in place. In this case, it happens to be the PPP government. It would be the same story. Cash is like some sort of drug that we can't resist. Quite a few of our public servants can't resist it. You put them there to that quantity of cash, and things are going to go wrong. I've said this months ago. I think I started saying this last year. I said you put some people there to cash money, billions of dollars of it, and you're going to end up in trouble. And indeed, we ended up in trouble, and we had the best excuse for that. You know what? The monies were needed. People were suffering and struggling, and we had to go and get it to them. And therefore, we had to cut some corners. and we had to get things done one way or the other, and we decided to get things done. Provides a lot of camouflage for wrongdoing. Think about that. I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5 FM. Thank you for listening to the National Outlook, and do have a wonderful first Christmas week in December. God bless you all.